The advice and opinions expressed by Dr. 𝗟𝗓𝗧 and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice.
Dr. Doreen 𝗟𝗓𝗧'𝗦 is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen 𝗟𝗓𝗧.
Dr. 𝗟𝗓𝗧'𝗦.
Dr. Doreen 𝗟𝗓𝗧'𝗦.
Dr. Doreen 𝗟𝗓𝗧'𝗦 is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen. My little brother, this is about the family and autism. My little brother was diagnosed with autism last year. I am 16 years old and not very close with him. My parents have started having people come to the house to do things with him. They want to know if I want to be involved. Is it bad if I say no? I don't think I can help him. I'm not really patient.
Yeah. No, it's not bad at all if you say no. Everybody has stuff going on in their own lives. And you don't need to add, but I just want to tell you that if you do join for a little period of time, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. There is nothing as enjoyable for me as having success with one trial with a child. Like, I cannot tell you the joy that brings to you when you, whatever it might be, when you tell a child do this and they do it and you reward them. That is like the best thing in the world. If you, one trial. So if you just do one tiny thing with your sibling and he learns, you will enjoy it so much. So I just recommend that you kind of like familiarize yourself. Just go in, see what they're doing. You don't have to become part of the team. This does not have to be every single day I have to do 2 hours of work with my sibling. Nothing like that. Just take a look.
But you know what's fascinating? I find that over the years, I mean, I just love individuals who are on the spectrum. I share that with you, that, you know, you light up. Somebody that's on the spectrum comes in the room and you light up because you just want to talk to them, and you, in whatever way that they communicate, and you want to connect with them, and you light up. And I absolutely feel that now too, but I also find that when you talk to siblings, they're the kindest.
They're the most amazing human beings ever.
They are.
I totally agree.
They're like the people I want running the earth.
Yeah.
Because they're compassionate, and they do the best perspective taking on the planet. And I think once they all have, they'll be honest with you and say, yes, I feel some resentment in my childhood that it wasn't, or my teen years, that sometimes it wasn't about me. Right. But they learn how to negotiate that, and so, which is a great life skill when it's not about you.
Yes.
So, you know, you're 16 years old, and I think how wonderful that you came and found this resource. It tells me a lot about you and how amazing you are that you have questions.
Honestly.
And honestly, you know, there are probably some things that are going on in your home that you're like, I don't get why my sibling is doing that. You could also, you know, not participate in what they're doing, but you could ask them some questions. Yeah. And maybe they would have some answers for you. And I think a lot of people that have asked questions and found answers have found that some of them have gone on to become therapists.
Like incredible therapists.
The best, right?
Yeah, and I love what you're saying, Shannon, right now, because there's also this thing about the less you know about something, the more and let's say there's something going on in your home and you don't really know what's going on, it just makes your home feel not like a home. It feels foreign. It's like that corner of the house is like this universe that I'm not going to touch. Yeah. So touch it, because it'll make you more comfortable. That's a very, very good point that you're making. It's just go see what's going on.
And you might find that it's a fascinating thing.
Yes, yes.
You might end up finding that it speaks to you in a way. I do think there's something genetic. I always, you know, in my one-woman show, I talk about the fact the first time I met a person that was on the autism spectrum, that something happened. I was 16 years old, in fact, and something inside of me that I could not explain when I was 16 kind of went, you know? And like there was something that I recognized that I couldn't put a name to, but I had this sort of, I don't know, not affinity. I still can't put a word to it. I don't think there's an English word for it. But years later, I would understand completely that I was like, there was a part of me genetically that was understanding, okay, I'm related to you in some way. That
it was so rare back then. So it's kind of interesting that you say that, because you know, I grew up in England, right? I went to schools in England, and there was and it was a boarding school, but my parents would come and visit, and I lived in a different city than where my mom was, but they had a close family friends who had a child with autism, and so every single time that they would come to like visit or do something with me on the weekend, this young boy was with us, and so I grew up, and I'm talking age 4.
Wow.
With a individual who was probably at that time maybe 7 or 8 on the spectrum. And back then, we're talking 60s, no one knew anything about, like there was no way they would give him a diagnosis of autism. Of course, later they did as an adult. But, and he was very severe. Like he was very severe. He had a lot of challenging issues. But it's funny that you say that, because like I always felt very drawn to him as well, and I was 4.
Yeah.
You know, and this is our world.
It's fascinating. So, you know, I think it's great that your parents are having people come in the house and ask them questions. And then please feel free to write back in and ask any questions that you guys have. Okay, we have a couple of minutes here, and I want to, Ismael said sure, but I don't know sure to what. So if you want to write in more, Maggie says, my son is waitlisted for ABA. He just turned 10. His school schedule is 8:30 to 2:30. The hours of ABA would be from 3:30 to 6:30. I feel he will be exhausted to do ABA. What should I do in terms of the schedule?
Yeah, he won't, it's okay. It's not like, you know, a lot of our kids, what do they do after school? It's not like they're free from 3:30 to 6:30, right? They either have, neurotypical kids even, they either have sports or activities or homework.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's pretty shocking how much our kids do. And ABA shouldn't be, it should be relatively rewarding for him. So, and you know, as Shannon will attest, a lot of the times the ABA therapists become friends with the child.
Absolutely.
Because they're kind of speaking the same language. He's 10, so there's nothing else at this point you can do it. I always do feel like the kids learn, their brains are fresher in the morning, and we lose that time to school, which is kind of sad. Yeah. But you know, one of the things you might want to do is, if you don't want him to go every day from 3:30 to 6:30, which by the way is the toughest time frame for an ABA clinic to provide, because everybody wants 3:30 to 6:30.
Right, it's hard to staff.
It's very, very hard to staff that. So if you are on a wait list, it sounds like, and they can't staff that, consider giving him some of the hours on the weekend. Because a lot of ABA clinics are open on the weekends, and they're happy to provide that service.
And of course, you can always consider, I know I'm going to create anarchy here, but you can always consider taking him out of school for a few hours a day to do it early in the morning. School will hate that.
Yeah.
They will want you, and let me just tell you a little trick, they will want your child to be there at least until 10:30, because if you bring your child in after 10:30, they don't get paid for your child for the day.
Right.
So that's why they want them there until 10:30, then they get paid by the state, the government, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but can I just say this, that in this generation, we're so terrified of our children being tired.
Yeah, it's
And,
true.
and I want to challenge that a little bit.
It's true.
That, you know, in previous generations, kids went, you know, they turned a certain age and they went out and worked in the field, and and nobody was sitting there going, I think they're tired, right?
Yeah.
And they were expected to do schoolwork and come home and work in the field. I'm not saying that that's ideal, but when we go to Disneyland and we're at Disneyland for 11-hour day, none of us are like, no, I think it's too much. Our children will be tired. Why is that? Because the children, they're getting a payoff for it too.
Yeah.
And yes, do they get to a point where they're fussing because they're tired and they need a break?
Yeah.
For sure. But if it's the right ABA and they're making it fun enough, I think it's going to be good. And my great-grandmother always used to say that idle hands is the devil's playground, something like that. And she would say, you got to keep kids busy or they get into trouble.
It is true.
And our kids, if they aren't engaged, what are they left with?
What are they doing?
You know, they're left to get into the crevices in their mind, and they will create something to do that's fun for them. And that might be doing this with a string, which is not, I mean, it helps them to regulate, but it's not educational for them.
Right.
So I just want to say, challenge the thought a little bit, and I went through this once with a parent a few years ago that had a 4-year-old, and I was really pushing her to do a 40-hour program.
Yeah.
She had the ability to do it. And she said to me, I really want what you have.
Yeah.
And I said, then give him the best chance, give him a 40-hour program, a 4-year-old. And he got really tired, and they had to stop the nap, and he got really tired. And one of the first days, at one point, he threw up.
Yeah.
And she went, oh, no.
I can't
He's
do
too
this.
tired, I can't do it. And I said, you want to ramp up. Let's not like cold turkey go to 40, but I said, I really want to challenge you. You told me you want what I have. This is the best chance for him.
Yep.
And she wrote me a year ago and that he is considered recovered. And she said, I just want to thank you because I would not have done that.
That's awesome.
And,
That's awesome.
and she says, people are like, what on earth did you do?
Yeah.
And she said, but I would not have believed. But I also want to say that after the first couple of weeks of doing 40 hours, she went, oh, okay, I would never have believed what a difference doing 40
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
40 hours is different than 30 hours. And 30 hours is different than 20 hours.
I know.
And 20 hours is different than 10 hours. You don't believe me? Go to the gym those number of hours and see what the output
Yep,
is.
yep.
It's just different. Anyway, I just got on a soapbox and I didn't mean to.
No, I'm totally with you. I agree. Yeah.
And she says it would be home therapy. I think, in that case too, there's all kinds of things that you can do at home to make sure that it's fun. And it's not like it's constant work. They'll give him breaks that are rewarding.
Absolutely right.
Anyway, we only have a couple of minutes. Is there anything that you want to talk about? Is there anything you want to
Sure,
announce?
absolutely,
Do you
I'd
want
love
to? I
to.
didn't ask you beforehand. I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, no, of course. It's public knowledge, so I'd love
Okay.
to. So I don't know, some of our viewers will know that I founded an organization back in 1990 called 𝗟𝗘𝗧, Center for Autism and Related Disorders, and then I ran that organization as the CEO and for 30 years. So I worked tirelessly and with lots of love until the beginning of 2020. So my last month officially being CEO was the end of 2019. And I sold the company to another private equity company because I wanted to retire and we had already gotten to the point where we were 260 sites or 265 sites. We were huge across the US, and it was very exhausting, Shannon, as you remember, just trying to maintain it and trying to grow it, right? So, and it was a really good program, and I really wanted everyone to be able to receive this program, and so I wanted to expand more, but it was becoming just so difficult to continue expanding and continue taking care of with something like almost 7,000 behavior technicians and BCBAs and so on. It was big. So I sold it with the idea that this organization, this private equity firm, would come in and they would bring resources and they would bring advice and experience and they would grow this thing so that there was 1,000 clinics. Why 260? But why not get to 1,000? And I honestly could have happened, but a lot of different factors came together. Of course, COVID was a big one. And there were other things, and so all in all, unfortunately, the organization had a lot of turnover, which means it lost a lot of employees, both top level and BT level. And there was a lot of transition, and there was just not a clear enough understanding of our field, I believe, and not a clear enough understanding of how, there were lots of issues. So long story short, unfortunately, the company had to declare bankruptcy. First, they shut down.
Let's say, too, you stepped away.
I stepped away. So I was initially on the board of the company for a few years, and then I resigned because I disagreed. Let's just put it that way. I disagreed, and I'm a pretty bossy person when it comes to telling people what to do with autism. So I wanted to get away from it. So I resigned and I was away from it, and unfortunately they ended up shutting down a lot of sites. They went down to 130 sites, and then they had to declare bankruptcy because they ran out of money, basically. And so when they went into bankruptcy, which was in, I think, June, that just passed, I found out about it, and I went in and attended a insane auction where there were a couple of other companies that had formed a coalition who wanted to buy 𝗏, but I felt that I really wanted to own 𝗏 again and to bring it back to what we call the glory days, and like take care of the employees and take care of the patients and try to grow it again and so on. And so after a very intense 5-day auction, I was successful and I was able to buy back the vast majority of the company. So I bought back 112 sites. I had to partner with an organization that wanted those other 18 sites, and that's fine. They're a strong organization as well. And so we came together and I was able to purchase 𝗏 back. And now I am in this phase of diligence and work. The deal has not closed. It is public that we won the bid, but it closes on the 25th of August, at which point I will own 𝗏 again. And obviously I have a lot that I need to do. So, I just wanted to let everybody know that that's going on. And I'm right now working 12, 14-hour days trying to just catch up. But I'm excited about a few different things. I'm excited to get back in and help make things better, whether it's for the employees or for the patients or just for the organization, whatever it is, just help make things better. And also, I'm very excited to be able to go back and look at the dissemination of information through skills, the database, the actual curriculum and all that. And Shannon, let me tell you, we're going to start there this time. We're not going to, that is not going to be the last thing I do. That's going to be the first thing I do because I am so determined, not just to go back and build up the sites and actually increase sites, but I'm very determined to get this program available and out there for families and the whole world. So that's what I'm really going to focus on.
I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, thank you.
And proud of you
Thank
and
you.
how you have conducted yourself, and just amazing.
Thank you.
Don't forget, you can watch Ask Dr. Doreen live every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We hope to see you there.